Welcome to this very special bonus episode of the kbbreview podcast. I'm Andrew Davies, the editor of kbbreview, and today we're talking stone. Now, as most of you will know, there has been a huge debate around the fabrication of engineered stone and its links to cases of silicosis, the disease of the lungs caused by inhaling the fine dust that can be created by the cutting and polishing of these kind of materials. It is, of course, a horrible disease that can lead to irreversible lung damage, pulmonary disease, and lung cancer. Now, rising cases of silicosis have led to a debate around the way engineered stone is fabricated and how many are not following existing guidance on how to do it safely. In Australia, the number of cases reached a point where use of the material itself was completely banned in 2024. Here in the UK, there have also been cases of silicosis, and the debate has reached a point where there are also calls to ban it here. The Health and Safety Executive has, today, May the 11th, issued new guidelines for the cutting and polishing of engineered stone that do address some of these concerns, but does it go far enough? So, I'm very pleased to say that joining me now is Mike Calcutt, the Deputy Director in the HSE's Engagement and Policy Division. Hello, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Andrew. I'm very glad to join you today. It's about this very important topic.
Well, it is an important topic, and it's one that's been going for quite some time. So this does seem to be moving the whole debate on quite a significant amount. So look, I've got the new guidelines here in front of me, but could you just give us the headline overview? What is in these guidelines that's different to the existing ones?
There's not a massive shift in what we're expecting. What we're doing with these guidelines is clarifying what we expect. And actually, that's always been there. We're definitely looking for no dry cutting because we've realised that just can't work for when you work in engineered stone. The exposure levels are 5 to 10 times higher when you're dry cutting than when you're wet processing. So actually, what we're saying now is there's no scope for dry cutting engineered stone. What we need everybody to do is to use water suppression. And if you use water suppression, then please can you also control the mist? And having controlled the mist, can you also ensure that you are providing health surveillance to your workers to make sure that they're not at risk of disease?
This disease obviously is what's triggered all this. Does this effectively constitute a ban? I know it's a very editorial word to use, a ban, but these are guidelines, but they are guidelines on how to comply with the law, which is, that's my basic understanding of what this kind of stuff is. So, is this a ban or is this a slight nudge in the right direction?
I mean, I don't use the word ban because, I would say, well, a ban implies it was okay before and then it's not okay. What we're saying here is this has always been an issue. It's always been a problem. The level of silica and the way of working with engineered stone means that we just can't let people dry cut because the exposure levels are just going to be too high. So, I would say that that's actually looking for a proportionate response to the problem, and a proportionate response is, water suppression and no longer doing dry cutting. And I would say, that's more of a proactive, proportionate response, which is being constructive and working with employers to try and enable everybody to make the best of the situation that we're in, whilst ensuring that we always protect the workers.
Yes, and obviously health is paramount at all points. I mean, there's a lot of details in here, precautions and equipment needed to meet requirements, etc., etc. I suppose the ultimate question is always going to be, how is this going to be policed or checked? Are there extra resources in place for these kind of inspections that you'll need to do to make sure people are meeting these requirements?
So, Andrew, we're proposing sort of a twin track with this. The first track is that we're looking to publicise the guidance and we're looking to engage with people, and we're trying to get the industry to understand the guidance, to ensure everybody's found the guidance that needs to find it, and that they understand it, that they've read it and accepted it, and that they're able to put that into place. Alongside that, we're also working with the Worktop Fabricators Federation and the British Occupational Hygiene Society. And we've been working with the industry over a couple of years, sort of building towards this point. But really, what we're doing now is staying in lockstep with other people who are trying to engage with industry about how to solve this problem. So we're engaging there and making sure that we're sharing information and that we're monitoring the situation there as well. As well as that, we're proposing to come and try and inspect everybody that's using engineered stone. So we think that's upwards of 1,000 workplaces that we need to go to. So inspectors will be coming out in summer and into the autumn, and they will be looking for these standards to be in place everywhere we go where we find people are using engineered stone.
I guess because I've been to lots of places where this kind of fabrication happens, and a lot of this kind of stuff is already in place in the bigger places. But I suppose what you're really going for here is those small fabricators, the on-site installers, and how realistic is it that they're going to get the kind of equipment that you're talking in here, mist suppression systems and things? Is that the bit that makes the enforcement difficult, dealing with the really small operators?
The issue is that it's very clear. It doesn't matter how many workers you've got, and it doesn't matter how big your operation is, the levels of exposure that you get from dry cutting are just unacceptable and unsafe. So you need water suppression, and you need the other arrangements that go along with the water suppression. And I think that the issue about proportionality is talking to each duty holder about what they can put in place and how quickly they can put that in place. We are a proportionate regulator who does listen to business and talk to duty holders about how they should comply, how they can comply. At the end of the day, we can't walk away and let people not comply. So we will have to enforce, but we will work with people where we can to accommodate the fact that they're going to need to make systemic changes to their processes.
Are there any potential consequences or liabilities for businesses who work with non-compliant fabricators? I'm thinking mainly of, they've got to get the work from somewhere. So like a kitchen retailer, for example, sending off a template for a worktop. Is there any obligation on their part to check for compliance?
So I definitely think there's a moral obligation on them. And the moral obligation, I think, is to encourage everybody to be using engineered stone with a lower silica content. I think that's really important, and being able to support the fabricators in adopting the use of engineered stone that doesn't have as much crystalline silica in it. I think that's the first thing everybody should be doing. The second thing is, I think if the duty under the control of substances hazardous to health regulations, the duty is definitely on the fabricator there. But I think, what we would be looking for is where we've got the supply chain and we can track back through the supply chain. I think if we've got unsupportive activities going on in the supply chain, then I would be very interested in explaining to people who are specifying high silica engineered stone, why are you doing that? And why aren't you considering the alternatives? And why aren't you therefore ensuring that you are supporting the processing of engineered stone in premises that are compliant and are protecting their workers?
You've used the word high there quite a couple of times. And one of the things that really stood out for me in this, literally right on the main points, number one on the list, is guidance to work with stone containing the lowest crystalline silica content to reduce health risks for all workers. Now that seems very deliberately vague. There's no specific definition of what low is or indeed what high is. So there's the clear decision made there to not make specifications on what levels of silica need to be in this stuff.
So legally, we can't define a specific limit because effectively the law requires people to substitute, and you can substitute with lower silica content engineered stone. I think what we would expect people to do is to go as far as they can when they can. And we understand that there will be situations when something's been specified. What we've made sure is that the controls that we're asking for are applicable to all levels of silica in engineered stone. But I think that the point is that the law requires people to look for the lowest engineered stone content that they can work with and that their suppliers can work with. And if people can do that, then it effectively it will help ensure that the controls are ever more effective at protecting the workers who are then doing the work.
Does that mean they'd have to demonstrate that they couldn't source stone that had lower silica content?
I think what we'd be looking for is really to focus people. We're focusing on the controls right now. And I think because we need to ensure that we're responding to this problem as it is now. And I think what we can do is, we know that we've been working with the suppliers and we're talking to the supply chain about the availability of lower silica stone. So in the background, what we'll also do is carry on talking with suppliers of engineered stone about making more options available for using lower content silica stone. And I understand that that's a growing issue, that there are more and more products coming onto the market that contain less silica. So we're going to promote that. We're going to work with the industry to push that. Right now, we know that there is a significant volume of all levels of silica out there. So we need these controls in place now to protect the workers from current working. Over time, I think we can all work towards lower content silica in engineered stone.
The sort of elephant in the room here is Australia, and obviously they've banned engineered stone outright. You guys have decided not to go anywhere near that, and to go down the route of education and compliance and enforcement. How have you reached that conclusion where Australia didn't?
I won't comment on Australia and what they've done, but I can comment on what we've done. So what we've done is we've spent the last couple of years talking to the industry to understand the problem and to understand the issues around using engineered stone. We've also spent 2 years doing research, and what we've managed to do is to confirm that we think the controls that we're asking for can protect workers. If those controls couldn't have protected workers, then we wouldn't be taking this action now. But we feel confident that this action is proportionate to the problem that we've understood, and we feel that we can let people carry on using engineered stone, providing they've got these key protections in place for workers. And as I say, the key protections are the water suppression and the local exhaust ventilation to extract the spray away, and protection for the workers in terms of respiratory protection, a powered respirator, and health surveillance.
And the enforcement of that through inspection, yes. I'm assuming.
Yes, as well.
Let's draw this to a conclusion here. There is a strong lobby from both sides on this. There's obviously a strong lobby from manufacturers who want to continue selling this product, and it is very popular, as we all know. But there's obviously also a strong lobby from the other side, right down to people who have family members who have suffered from silicosis. Is this the end of this debate, or is this just the next stage of it? Is this the definitive answer to that, or is this just the next step in it?
Absolutely is part of an ongoing approach from HSE, Andrew. What we really want to do is to make sure that we stay in step with the industry. I know that the Worktop Fabricators Federation are proposing a quality mark, and we're trying to make sure that we're endorsing and supporting people to take up that voluntary approach, whilst also taking our correct regulatory action and looking after the workers by making sure that we're going around and ensuring that people are being compliant. We will keep reviewing our findings from the inspections. We will keep reviewing the evidence as it comes in. We will keep reviewing any more information that we get, and we'll adjust our approach accordingly. But at the moment, we've thought really hard about this, and we've really come at this quite carefully. And we think this is definitely the right proportionate approach to protect the workers right now. If people can stop dry cutting, use water suppression with the extra protections that we're looking for, and with those measures, we think we can certainly control this problem to a level which means that people aren't getting that horrible disease of silicosis.
Mike, it is a big step forward, so thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Andrew.